We got it. We did it, Lubie. We came through.
We did. Thank goodness.
Wow. I mean, that could not have been more exciting on Friday night. That was the
like
Panthers victory. You know what it reminded me of? It really did. It reminded me of that whole Nick Wallenda thing when he was going over the Grand Canyon there on the tightrope and they misgauged the wind. And all of a sudden you get like the Santa Ana winds are kicking up and they've made their way over to Las Vegas. And this guy's trying to balance himself. Now, he was sort of attached to the thing. So it wasn't like he was going to go into the bottom of the abyss there and fall like 1,500 feet. It was kind of treacherous to watch as he was praying to God. And as we've often referenced, probably the most unusual aspect of that whole telecast was that Joel Osteen was assisting from a mental standpoint, supposedly, Nick Wallenda as he went out there, and he was giving him confidence. And there were many God references, like, oh, God. And he's in the middle of the Grand Canyon there, not looking too sure of himself, wearing a pair of, like, ballet slippers and holding a rod. But I think Joel Osteen was having his rod held by Wallenda's wife.
Oh, yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Keep going, Nick. Keep going. See, Joel Osteen, I mean, yeah, he's very good at what he does, I have to say. He's very good at what he does. True. When you watch those lectures, you start to believe that, you know what, maybe Jesus can come and save me. But I don't think so.
I don't know. That's a long shot.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Good to be with you here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz. A little bit of a late start. We had the Gremlins get after us early this morning. And once again, I had to whip out. It's a very thick book. No, it really is. You know, and
Sure.
it's not like it's a guideline to how to fix your computer problems or whatever. It's called Techno Jew. I wrote it myself. And Lubie's given me a couple of ideas about how to fix this thing, which was a problem that we hadn't seen before. Okay. And we're thinking, geez, you know, my first instinct now is, okay, well, back to show. We'll fix it tomorrow. No, it's not that at all. I mean, we're dedicated to not only the audience out there that's gravitated towards the show here in our new format on Ion Channel. It's been about 6 months now, and very happy to see things sailing along. But you hate to have a technical problem, especially since we know this, that we're going to be the only ones that are going to have any chance of solving it. Otherwise, throw in the towel. Come on, refs, stop the fight. It's a killing.
Well, we almost did, but we're here. Good morning.
And at the last second, after trying a couple of things, something popped up that I said, that's it right there.
Good job.
So we got on the air today, and I'm very happy to do so because we do want to bring you later on Old School with Tony Segreto. That's brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and the fine people at Catholic Health Services. Before we get going, and I think it was you that put this up on Facebook. Was it you that put up the video of Steve Kerr?
I got it from Instagram. I saw it on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and then I took it and posted it on Facebook. Yeah, he did a whole 2 minutes. I think that's his whole thing because you see him get up and walk away. I think that's the whole salvo.
Yes, and very emotional, and obviously spoken from the heart and with a lot of depth and a lot of feeling. Steve Kerr, who seems to be one of the few in the National Basketball Association that is not afraid to speak his mind about things and maybe offend certain factions. He's been very outspoken in the past. Now, some people would say, you know what, bleep Steve Kerr. He's a left-leaning liberal fool who, you know, is responsible for $8 gas prices. But what he had to say yesterday, and this is really a shame, and this is in regard to the Texas shooting, where the last tally I saw, which, you know, I mean, look, how many times can we say the same thing? We've gotten to the point that that's about the fifth one of these type of incidents in the last week or 10 days.
It's been 3 in the last 10, and I'm sure if you did the math, it's been like 5 in 2 weeks. I think such a stupid, crazy number to try and figure out.
I mean, one is too much, and one is too much with even one person being injured or threatened. It just shouldn't be happening. And that's the truth. And what was interesting about it, and this is where it kind of gets into, I don't know that it's a gray area because it should be definitively black and white, where people say, you know what, these sports people, they should stick to sports. I saw a couple of these comments, including from people that I have respect for. I didn't know that this was their opinion, although, I mean, a person in a certain way, and you're thinking, yeah, okay, that makes sense that this guy might think that. And, it's like shut up and dribble is
It's
essentially
literally
what.
shut up and dribble. That's literally what it
Yeah,
is.
I mean, and you have to
Very
look
short.
at it from this standpoint, and I always sort of respected this idea, although it's kind of flown a coop where people that have a celebrity stature, which sports people do. Steve Kerr is certainly extremely recognizable to people all around the universe, whether you're a basketball fan or not. I mean, he's been involved in a zillion different things, winning championships with the Bulls, with San Antonio, coaching Golden State as they were going through just an absolutely glamorous Showtime like era of basketball there for a period of 5 years it was that they were doing their thing, the Golden State Warriors.
Finals. They went to 5 straight
Yeah.
finals. 5 straight, yes.
And here they are again, now looking like the favorites, the obvious choice, even though they lost last night, to be the champions again. It does appear like they'll be able to prevail over the Dallas Mavericks. They lost by 10 last night. Didn't have a particularly good game. The Mavericks shot lights out when desperate on their home court. And how many times have we seen this, which I would imagine, some people were hoping for, that maybe there'd be a glimmer of light, a small crack that opened in the door that seemed to be impenetrable, where, the Panthers were down 3-0 in their series. And we've been talking about it to the Tampa Bay Lightning. All right, so you have to chip away at things sometimes, work your way through it. And you can't win 4 straight games, so you have to, just go with the proverbial take it one at a time. Dallas bounces back in this spot, but we've seen it many, many times where the team that's up 3-0 kind of throws in a token effort. And Golden State certainly wasn't on its best stuff yesterday. The Dallas Mavericks were, and they won the game. But prior to the game, Steve Kerr, I guess this was prior to the game.
It was the
yeah, that's what I thought.
It was because he talked about a game that's about to be played, and we'll play and we'll do our thing. But I'm not talking about basketball right now.
Yeah, and it was heartfelt, and I'm thinking, I applaud this 1,000%.
Well, his father died in a shooting. I think his father was a police officer or something, but his father died in a shooting. So that's why when people open their mouths and sound like jackasses, they don't realize he's not just a sports guy. He was personally touched by this, so he actually has even more credibility.
I don't know that he even needed that level of credibility. I mean, look, you or I could say, the same things, and it would be obvious that there would be truth to it. That, enough of these people like Ted Cruz and the Marco Rubios getting up and acting like they actually give a shit. But when the truth of the matter is, as Steve Kerr pointed out, I mean, no gun legislation is going to be passed as long as you have 50 Republican senators that are all taking money from gun. I don't know if they all are, but essentially what we've seen is so many times. I mean, one of the ugliest things I've ever seen by any politician, what was this Marco Rubio, senator from Florida, and he's at the, a ceremony of
I was there, the
horrific
Stoneman
proportions.
Thing. The Stoneman Douglas thing that happened 5 minutes from Stoneman Douglas, and he was hemming and hawing when hundreds of us are sitting there going, what are you talking about? With the NRA lady.
Right, and they asked him directly, the kid, that spoke up. I mean, couldn't have been any more point blank, and just said, listen, and you feel this way sometimes in conversations where you're just saying, hey, spell it out. What is it? Okay, just tell me. Don't give me like a blank look and then let me try to figure it out on my own. I'm not that smart. And so the kid says, hey, Marco, will you stop taking money from these gun promoting interests? And he was like, yeah, he went Ralph Cramden all of a sudden.
He danced and did a jig. Yep.
Obviously saying that, of course, he's not going to consider that because he needs this money to continue to be in a position of power. And I think that was a very, pertinent message that Steve Kerr delivered last night. And the fact that he was so emotional about it makes you think, wow, I mean, when is somebody going to stop and do something about this? Right? How come it's necessary to protect the rights of people that have the right to bear arms? The old Second Amendment thing. Which, all right, fine. I mean, if you want to believe in that, that's great. But why would you then be opposed? I mean, a guy that's honestly going out there to do some duck hunting and wants to own a gun, or even somebody that wants to have a gun in their home for their own protection in case somebody tries to intrude on their property, that's one thing. But an
I used to
18-year-old kid with a background of social media posts that imply that maybe he's got to screw loose somewhere shouldn't be able to go in and buy an assault weapon the day he turns 18 without anybody saying anything about it except, hey, okay, Johnny, go out there and shoot some birds or whatever. I mean, what are we talking about here? It's insanity. It really is.
Well, and the thing is, and it's not my favorite. By saying my favorite, I actually mean I find it hysterical when a certain group says this is not the time to talk about it. Don't politicize it. It's like that's not when something happens. That's usually when we talk about it. I'd rather be proactive, but we don't talk about it when nothing's going on. So at least when something happens, we should talk about it. If you're telling me we shouldn't talk about it because you're getting money from a certain group that actually isn't even that big. The NRA is actually not a very big group. It's just
whoever is promoting this idea that it's a good idea. I mean, look, if I'm a law-abiding citizen and I decide I want to buy a gun for my own protection, all right. I mean, is it all of a sudden like I got a threat from some mob boss who said, "Hey, listen, Defo, we're coming for the money and we're coming today and we're going to break a leg." Okay, well, then I might have an immediate need for it. But in general, you would have to think that if you decided to go that route, that you wanted to be a gun owner and have it, whatever, to keep in your car. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think I could do that with like 7 days, and get through those 7 days while, they were doing a background check on me or whatever, or trying to, find out if I have some kind of psychological defect that is traceable. And it's okay with me, right? So you know what? If I applied today, I would have my gun and my permit next week. All right. Is that not soon enough? I don't know. How many people have this immediate need that we should just shrug off the entire notion of ever, incorporating a background check and some kind of period of time between when, I mean, part of that rationale with the background checks at one point in time centered around, all right, so you have a guy who gets in a fight with his wife. He says, I'm going to go out, buy a gun and shoot her, but maybe 2 days later, he doesn't feel that way anymore. They're on a trip to Hawaii. All right, yes. that happens.
Yes.
So that was part of the rationale. I mean, not to have people that were in an immediate emotional reaction to something go out there and buy a gun and maybe do something that, is entirely regrettable. But for an 18-year-old kid to be able to go into any gun shop and legally buy an assault rifle, I mean, something needs to be done. And Steve Kerr was absolutely right. And I don't mind when the sports world gets into it. Maybe it's because they share my opinion. But who could really be opposed to the idea of trying to do something, whatever it is? It may not solve the problem. I mean, one of the common theories, it was a lot like the reason not to have casinos in certain areas, right? This was the rhetoric that was going around Florida when they were trying to decide whether to turn any kind of a legal eye and smile upon the idea of having casinos here. And it's funny too, because I remember a guy I had a lot of respect for, the late great Senator Bob Graham. Is he dead? Yeah, I think he is. Right, Bob Graham checked out
right now. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, and he was a governor of Florida, of course, and a senator from Florida, and he, happened to be on a flight that I was on and sits down in the middle seat on a flight that I'm taking back from Orlando. I had a connecting flight from wherever I was coming from.
He's alive, actually.
Oh, there you go. You had him dead.
Killing people, yeah. It was.
How old is he?
85. I mean, he's not 20, but he's alive. 85.
Very, gracious and graceful gentleman. I didn't agree with everything that he had to say, but and I certainly didn't agree with this because, we happened to fly over the Hard Rock. And, we're landing, and the other guy that was in the row with me and I were talking with Graham the whole way. And I said, so what was your thought about, casinos coming here? And he kind of leaned towards that whole rhetoric of, it's not necessarily good, never mind the 8 million jobs that are being created there and all the people that are making gobs of money at the Hard Rock. In general, it brings crime and prostitution.
Yes, which is not true at all.
I'm like, what Bible are you reading that from, Joel Osteen? I mean, crime and prostitution? Sure. I mean, that was part of the scene, in Vegas, and Reno or whatever, but
the 60s.
I don't know that it really brought a lot of crime out there because you can walk the streets of Las Vegas with like hundreds coming out of your pocket and nobody bothers you.
Yeah, it's safer there. What do you mean? Because
Right.
you need it to be safe. It's just like when you go to these countries where people say it's unsafe, but the tourists never get touched because they know they need tourism. Vegas is literally only about tourism. It's safer there than most places you go in Florida.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, but that's all bogus. I mean, it turns out to be complete BS.
Yes.
It does none of that. I mean, we're not seeing any increase in crime and prostitution in the area of the Hard Rock or any of these pari-mutuel facilities that turn into casinos. All we're seeing is a lot of people having a good time.
Yep.
That's it. So, and the same theory is out there, same kind of lame theory is out there about gun laws. That if they put more restrictions on guns and the availability to the average Joe citizen who's just going out there trying to earn an honest living and live a clean life, that only the criminals would have guns.
No, that's not even a little true.
And it seems bizarre because it's not even so much the criminals that we're worried about anymore. It's crazy people.
Yeah, it's not. The biggest crimes are not people with a gun in the street. It's this. It's what we've had 3, and it's not just schools. So even if you, and I don't know who doesn't give a shit about kids, but let's say you don't have a kid, it was a church and a supermarket. Like literally anywhere you go now.
Every day. Every day. I mean, there were a couple of other ones mixed in there, really, of smaller proportions.
I'm
not even worthy of the level of reporting that's being done on these other larger incidents where one involved some racist nutbag that went in there to kill all black people. And the other, I don't know what, this guy's motivation for it was, but just the fact that he supposedly, I think he bought the gun like the day before that he used.
Probably. Yeah.
Now, an 18-year-old kid, he just turns 18. He's in the state of Texas, which obviously is huge in terms of advocating, the right to bear arms and owning guns. And that's what you imagine. Texas, the Wild West, right? Walker, Texas Ranger there. He's got 2 guns he's going to draw on you there. As if he was Wyatt Earp. But I mean, a kid goes and buys a bunch of body armor and an assault weapon, and it raises no eyebrows and has no restrictions placed upon it. It's just okay, Johnny, have a nice day, man. Are you playing Little League ball tonight or whatever? I mean, please.
He walks out with it, and they're like, "That's normal."
Hey, great. You need some ammo?
Yeah, that's actually what they probably say.
This is the attitude of the people in the United States for some reason.
It's not people. The Kerr said it, and that's what's annoying to me. This actually isn't a political issue. Of course, where everything has to become. 90% of the people agree to that, to our stance. So that's not a party line thing. What it is 50 people getting paid a lot of money by one organization that only has a few million, which is not a lot of people when it comes to organizations in America, but they have a lot of money, has stolen this issue and propagandized it to a level that isn't true. Like the majority of people, I know hardcore Republicans that all are like, yeah, of course you need background checks. Duh. And why do you need an assault rifle? Like you're not protecting yourself at home with an assault rifle because by the time you would put it together.
Well, why are they available in stores at all?
It makes no sense. It's just because.
If you're joining the Army and you had to buy your own equipment, okay, that would make it, even remotely understandable. But it should be. Listen, they put under lock and key the champagne in the grocery store.
Yes.
And yet these weapons are available to virtually everybody in plain sight. Yeah, I'll take that one over there. Okay, Joe. Yeah, wrap up the, AR or whatever it is. And give it to this little young man over here. He's still popping zits. It's insane. It really is. So I applaud Steve Kerr for using that platform in the fashion that he did. The people that think he should shut up and dribble,
they don't agree.
I'm sorry. You know what? If somebody's saying something that is completely relevant, justified, and needs to be said over and over again, until it's the usual stuff. Oh, our prayers, our hopes.
No, prayers. Look, and it's something, as someone who's been a little bit more religious in my life than you have, whenever someone says it, I laugh because one of my favorite tenets of Judaism, and it's any monotheistic religion, is God helps those who help themselves. So don't give me that bullshit. That's just something people throw out there so that they can do nothing. God doesn't.
How can anybody sit by and watch this happen?
Want you to do nothing. No one wants you to just do nothing except for the NRA because they want more and more guns. And again, I'm not touching the Second Amendment. My wife has a gun. My brother-in-law has tons of guns, but they're smart, they're safe, and they all agree we should have realistic, logical, sensible gun control. That's it. It's not
Something. I mean,
rocket
do something.
science. Like
Take a
we all
step in that
agree. Like,
direction. If it doesn't work, you could always go back and undo it because you thought, wow, how mischievous were we to think that a guy should have to wait a few days before he's able to buy at 18 years old an assault rifle off the shelf of a store. That's crazy. And it just happens to, I guess, I don't know, did he have the body armor already? But
yes. What was interesting is, and there's a few people saying we need more security. I'm all for more security. He was stopped. Supposedly, he got in an accident, was stopped by police.
Yeah.
And still found his way to the school to do this. So even the security isn't 100%. Nothing's 100%, but at least why not do something?
It's just, it's enough to make you cry. I have 2 grandchildren, and,
I'm scared.
I'm talking with my son yesterday about, this is the world I grew up in, had its radical moments and had its share of drama and trauma. The Vietnam War was no picnic, I'm sure. And the people that participated in it, I came in contact with, in school and, out in life. And you saw what happened with these guys, and you didn't understand it at the time. So we had more than our share of conflict, but it was a kinder, gentler world by far. I mean, there was none of this. It wasn't like nothing like this happened, but not as a matter of routine where you shrug your shoulders every day and go, oh, okay. But we were talking about it just last week. Oh, only 11 dead? Ain't so bad.
Yeah, what do you mean? You've talked about it. And I give you credit because you actually keep track of these. Most people don't anymore, but you're like, it's becoming a joke that we're becoming numb to these things. It took 3 in a week for people to do the outcry thing again. And it's like, I'm sick of the outcry. I don't want to fight. I'm not even fighting with anyone. It's not about arguing. This isn't political to me. I don't even have kids. I have nephews. My sister teaches at a school, and I am scared to death right now. Like, I don't even know how.
The guy got shot on the subway in New York just the other day by a nutbag. It's insane. All right. It's a morbid way to start things out. The discussion is always the same. Nothing ever seems to get done. There's just a very passive approach from the people that seem to be benefiting from the idea that every nutbag should be able to buy an assault weapon. And have no scrutiny whatsoever and not have to go. You have to go through more to, go pick up a prescription than you do. At least you have to show some proof that you're a human being. It's insane. I don't know, like I said, there's no definitive solution to all of this because you can't define crazy. There's always going to be some crazy person gets his hand on a gun and maybe does something hideous like this. But if you reduce it by one incident, one life even, it's worth making some kind of a move to at least, try to begin to address the problem. And, this rhetoric that goes back and forth has us in the same place that we were when Columbine took place, when Sandy Hook took place, when all of these hideous shootings take place. And I can't even imagine the horror. I kept coming back to Colonel Kurtz there. The horror. You can't even imagine what it's like for the people that, unfortunately were directly involved in this experience. Imagine, finding out that your 7-year-old was killed in elementary school.
Are you kidding me?
Shot to death by a crazy person. Who rolled in there and just as if he was in a shooting gallery, started picking off little kids. My God. All right, the sporting world. We'll get into that. Tony Segretta's going to join us a little early. I just find out from you, Lubie. Yeah, you're right on top of your game there.
I meant to tell you, and we had technical issues, and then.
All right. Don't let it never sweat. Don't let them see you sweat. All right. So Tony's going to be with us in just a couple of minutes here. Hialeah Park, a great place to go. Look, we're very fortunate. I feel fortunate every time that I've had the great life that I've lived so far. And as I tell people, if I checked out tomorrow, I lived a good life. I made a pretty decent number here and made it to a great place because I was able to take part in a lot of terrific things. And my memories of Hialeah Park are absolutely spectacular. And it really is true. As I'm on East 4th Street there, Lubie, after I make that turn at the home of the Thoroughbreds, Hialeah High School, I make that turn. I think about Charlie Huff being there on the mound. Maybe was Tony Segretta in Hialeah High School? I don't know.
I think so. Or he was in high school in the area. I know that. He was in that.
Lakes, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to ask Tony when he comes on. But You know what? I had such great times at Hialeah Park in the glory era there of thoroughbred racing. It was absolutely fantastic, and I love sports history also. I don't mind like diving into the distant past, as you know, because a lot of people think I'm living there. But yeah, I mean, to think that Citation was running there, and Johnny Longden, and Eddie Arcaro, and all of these guys, all of these cats were, that were fabled in thoroughbred racing lore. What were part of the scene there, and then you're out there looking at Horatio Loro, some of the great trainers, and Woody Stevens, and just all of these great people that were involved in the sport at the highest levels, and it always taken place in a glamorous setting at Hialeah Park, and it's still the same vibe. It's unbelievable. You know what? People have to change, right? When Danny Boy threw that first pass in practice, Don Shula shifted from Zonk running the ball 37 times a game to let's throw it about 50 times a game. How about that?
Yeah.
And he was largely credited for making a move that kept his career at a very high level for a long period of time. Although I would think even Eric Mangini could have coached. Rich Kotite could have coached Marino to about
Yes.
maybe a couple of playoff
Some
wins.
success.
I don't know. There I am disparaging the dead, Don Shula in a Hialeah spot. That's ridiculous. I don't mean to do that. We already killed off Bob Graham on the show. Hialeah, just a great place to go. You'll love the casino. You'll love the poker room. The Champion Simulcasting room is an absolute blast. You experienced it last time. Their special events are always just that. They're absolutely special, pristine, well run. I mean, they treat you like a champ. Whatever you're doing there at Hialeah Park, whether you're just in there to catch something great to eat and drink and have a good time, maybe play a few bucks, or if you like to send it in. On the ponies or play poker at a very high stakes level, whatever you want to do, they have it for you, all at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, coming up with Tony Segreto in just a few moments here. I think Tony's ready to go.
Yes.
And that's going to be fun. A little old school, a little early edition of old school. Usually we get started at 8 o'clock, but Grant Long going to join us later on in the program, talk about the NBA and, of course, the big game tonight, which we haven't gotten to, the pivotal Game 5 in the series between the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat. Never seen much. This is Jekyll and Hyde City, is it not?
Yes. Every game is totally
They
different.
haven't thrown in a close game yet. Nothing.
No.
It's
No
been
joke.
an annihilation one way or the other, and they've been alternating like they were slicing rye bread right there. And remember those little slicers that shook, and rye bread would come out perfect, and it smelled great. All right, speaking of bread, Tony Segreto. Nobody can sell bread other than Tony Segreto, or make bread for that matter. The guy is an absolute maverick in that category. Coming up next with Old School on the Defo Show. Happy to be with you, Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, and we'll be back with Tony in a moment. Now that
The time
7:41. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto, brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Welcome back to the show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubitz with you. The Defo Show here on ION Channel, and always a pleasure. We do this every Wednesday, usually a little later on in the hour from 8 to 9 o'clock, but happy you could chime in a bit early today to accommodate our conversation with Grant Long later on in the program. The great A longtime broadcaster here, and really just a true mensch of a human being. Everybody loves this guy. Tony Segreto joins us here on the show with a little old school, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse and also Catholic Health Services. Tony, you look good today. How are you, my friend?
I'm feeling great. Thank you very much. Great to see you guys. Hey, listen, we got a lot going on. We're gonna have some fun this morning. I have to just say, I'd be remiss personally. My heart just hurts for what's going on in Texas and all those children and all those families being ripped apart. And I just want everybody to know that none of us dismiss it. We hurt for them and we pray for them. And I know we're going to have some fun today, but I needed to say that early because honestly, I couldn't even sleep last night. It
we just
impacted
first
me
half
like
an hour
that.
talking about it.
Yeah,
Steve Kerr did it.
Yeah, it's impossible to ignore and just dive into what you think of Luka Doncic last night. That Mavs win over the Golden State. We're very fortunate. That's one reason. I don't know how you made the transition to news and stuck with it because
it's hard.
They put me on the news desk for 1 week when they thought I was being led astray by various degenerate elements in my life. When I was doing sports writing at a newspaper that I worked at in California. And I was tortured. I couldn't wait to run back to the toy department because, the harsh realities of what it was to deal with news every day. And this is particularly, it's so disturbing that we're still in the same place and have the same lame, vague conversations about it coming from people. And I don't know that people in power are going to be able to stop every nut, from acquiring a weapon and doing something horrific like that. But anything that could impede it in even the slightest way and have the possibility of detaining one person from going out and literally executing people.
21 people, one person, 21 people we're talking about. And,
it's
19,
crazy. Yeah.
19 children. I mean, it is just, think about, I can't even express myself. And you're right. It's just, and life goes on and we need to do something about it. I mean, if you listen to some of our lawmakers, just in tears and pleading with his or her constituents, saying we've got to do something. Like, when is this going to stop? So I don't want to bring us down, but at the same time, I think we're remiss if I ignored it, and I didn't hear the first half hour, guys, so I didn't want to step on anybody's toes, but I needed to say something because my prayers just didn't stop last night, and they continue this morning for this family.
Yeah, no, it's as we've been saying for the last several years, I mean, it's gotten to the point to where people just shrug their shoulders and go, "Oh, only 13 today, huh?" And this has happened far too frequently for this issue to continue to just get the ignorant position that so far it's received from a certain faction out there that believes that every 18-year-old should be able to pick an assault rifle off the shelf of a grocery store in Texas, and then no questions asked. So I noticed you're wearing body armor. I mean, it's just insane.
Where are you off to?
Where are you off to exactly?
It's like
range.
What's going to be fascinating, and then we can move on. Is like in 3 days, the NRA has this convention in Texas.
Yes, this week.
Yeah,
in Texas. Yep.
It'll be roundly applauded by many in the legislative branch of government here. All right, Tony. One thing though that it was interesting because a lot of people have seen, and I don't know if you saw the Steve Kerr clip where Steve Kerr before the ball game last night, Golden State looking to close out the Dallas Mavericks, obviously of great importance in the sporting world. They're in Dallas. So they're in Texas, and he literally went very, very heavy about the idea that look, we're playing this ball game and we'll pay the usual homage and lower the flag, but we're not doing shit about this. Yeah, and it's about time. And he got extremely enraged about the whole situation and stormed off, which is uncharacteristic of Steve Kerr, a mild-mannered guy, even after hideous losses. He'll sit in there and answer questions in a very gentlemanly and cordial fashion. And, so it was a sports guy using his platform, I think, to send an important message. All right.
Agreed.
And now I happen to agree with his position on this. So, so I couldn't have applauded that move anymore. Right? And I thought that's great. And that's one of the things that sports people can do is because they have this platform, they can send a message, and if they're willing to go ahead and risk offending some people, and losing endorsement dollars or whatever, if they're on the right side of things, I think that's great.
I do.
I
Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Completely agree with you. And I think that we're remiss if we don't think the people that we look up to in sports, the people that have that platform, we're remiss if they don't take advantage of this opportunity for them to stand on that platform and beat the pulpit. Shame on them if they don't, especially, you're playing in Texas last night. Can you imagine the hearts throughout the entire state? It's a huge state, but the entire state, everybody was impacted by this. Everybody, I don't want to say everybody's a parent, but pretty much we all know. I mean, Lubie, it's just if you're a parent, especially, it's awful. But I applauded Steve Kerr like I hope everybody else did too, because it was something he felt. You could tell how deep he felt that. You could tell how soulful he was. This wasn't just somebody, popping off. This was somebody who thought about it, and then once he got rolling, he got rolling. So.
Yeah, well, and people on the chat line, and of course, Louis mentioned this earlier. Alluded to the fact that Steve Kerr's father was in law enforcement and was killed.
Yeah. No, he wasn't law enforcement. He was actually a president of the university,
he was murdered.
In the Middle East, and got murdered by a gun.
Yeah.
For no reason.
So and I would think everybody's comments were heartfelt. It is time, though, Tony, that some movement was made in the direction of making. You and I don't care if we're buying a gun, which I'm not inclined to buy a gun, and I don't think I'll ever own one because I always believed it was just bad karma, to be carrying a gun.
I agree with you. Now, and but this happened. What exacerbates an already horrific situation is that it happened 2 weeks or 3 weeks after Buffalo. I mean,
and there were other incidents in between.
Yeah,
also,
last 2 weeks.
And then we sit here. And as you said so appropriately, we're worried about whether Jimmy Butler plays.
Is he playing tonight? I don't know. All right, we need to get into that because
let's talk about that. But I do have to tell you,
yes.
I don't know if Lubie shared with you, but when I called him and said, "Hey, can we move this up a little bit today?" And I know you got stuff going on with Grant and everything, and give Grant my best. He's just a fabulous guy,
great guy, great commentator.
Just a great guy, great commentator. Really has adjusted well, but. I did well in the Preakness. I wanted to.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. It was a big time. It was working.
You're an advocate of early voting. I know that, and so the name would appeal to you. I would think.
I mean, I try to put him in different situations, and was able to obviously take advantage of his win, but also with some of the other horses that ran with him, it was great. It was just again great stories. The storytelling of these people in these races it's so good. Just like the Olympics, like we talk about, Jeff. Just great storytelling. Great backdrops to otherwise stories you would never know of.
Well, and that's part of the fun of getting involved in thoroughbred racing or boxing, and you get a chance to get a little bit closer to not only the people that are directly involved in the game, but some of the so-called connections in thoroughbred racing, and or the team that a certain boxer has, and all of them, bring kind of a Seabiscuit like storyline or series of storylines to the equation there, and that makes it a lot of fun. Now. We are assuming then that this Rich Strike is coming back for the Belmont. I would have to say, and of course, what happened again, the back wheel of Epicenter, who went off the favorite. So we're 2 for 2. But the opportunity, the degenerate opportunity, was not anywhere close and never will be. That's why I say this all the time. The Kentucky Derby is the single greatest event that you could ever wager on. It should be an obligation. I mean, the Supreme Court should issue a ruling that everybody has to have some money on the Kentucky Derby because it is your best chance to get out. Best chance.
The Supreme Court's in enough of a jackpot right now. They don't.
Never mind Roe versus Wade. This is more important at this point. Everybody should bet the Derby.
I would tend to think people may debate that a little bit. But and that's no joking matter. But in any event, right. I agree that the Derby it's just something special. Now, I have to tell you, Lubie,
you made $2,000 on the same bet that only came back like $12 and change in this one.
Yeah. Hey, Lubie, did you look at the Secretariat video?
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it before. It's
Well, this is it's redone. So I mean, it looks fantastic. And you know, when you look at the Belmont coming up, and I know we got horses coming back, and it's going to be a different field. That race is just a different beast altogether. That is a special horse needs to win that one, because it's just, and a special jockey, because that is probably more of a race where the jockey and the horse need to be, you talk about knowing each other well, you know, being able to rate that horse, you know, for your different, you know, different distances and furlongs, and making sure you make the move at the right time, making sure you're not boxed in, making sure you're not causing a problem yourself. I look forward to the Belmont.
I was a big fan. That's where I first started going to the flats, actually. We were harness racing fans, my buddies and I. And so one day, my friend Cliff Keller, I believe it was 1969, says, why don't we go to the Belmont Stakes? And, you know, being a degenerate and having those inclinations anyway, I said, yeah, sure. Like I was Frankie Pentangeli giving a test.
What else are we going to do?
And so we started going, and we made it, a ritual every year, even after we had kind of been split apart by going to different colleges. And we were there that day. And we were kind of standing by the rail. You might see a Deforrest with a much thicker head of darker hair bouncing up and down, because, it was hard to see what was going on. And I remember my friend Cliff, he like jumped up in the air and he said, holy shit, something's out there by like 30 lengths.
Something.
And it was like Secretariat. And, it was a
It was
2 to
a
5 favorite, I think. But
it was a schooling, man.
Wow.
That was a real
in
schooling.
another universe. I mean, in terms of, the way that race was run. And I think, does that track record still stand?
I believe it does. Well, I believe
a mile and a half.
We may have to check. But you wanted to talk. I know I didn't mean to interrupt you about basketball.
So you won money. How much money, Tony? Why don't you
Well,
just
I'm not
get
gonna
right
get
to the
into
bottom
that.
of it?
You ever
How
tell
much
us
money
that?
did you win?
You'll have to.
He's always modest.
What do you
about that.
have?
You'll
Like you
have
had a
to-
$200 exacta box, the 5 and
You'll
the 8.
have
What
to.
did you do?
All I know is I got, my computer was dinging from Twin Spires, so it was a good thing.
Wow, that's big. Yeah, a lot of people made out pretty well on that. I actually ended up cashing a ticket, and this is to be respected. I wanted to pay tribute and homage to my friend Piscataway Ray, because check this out now, Tony, and this is among degenerate brethren. And if you have like a degenerate mitzvah, it would go along these lines, where we were partners on our bet in the Kentucky Derby. I put in the bet for both of us, okay? Now, he was going to put in the same deuce into the Preakness, but there weren't really that wide open number of betting opportunities. So, and the payoffs were minuscule compared to what happened in the Derby. But he did at the last second put in a $100 win bet of our pool money on the winner, who paid $13.40, which was nice. So we're getting back like $325 a piece. And he had texted me, was this okay with me to spend our pool money on that $100 win bet? But I was at a party at the time, all right? So I didn't see the text until I looked at my phone trying to see if I could punch up the race somehow, which, of course, I couldn't do. So, and I see his text, is this okay? And as that's happening, I'm watching the 5 cross the wire, and he has 100 to win on a 5. So naturally, I said, yeah, it's fine now.
Yeah.
But now, here's the thing. The implication was that he did this with the 200, part of the 200 that we were going to bet on the Preakness that he was responsible for. Now, he could have said, look, I just bet that on my own. But instead, in a mitzvah of degeneracy, the proportions of which only would be available, I would imagine, from a few people and to a few people in that person's circle of acquaintances, he said, no, you were in on a bet because I was carrying the pool money.
Nice.
And so that was a pool bet, and I ended up cashing.
First of all, I have to tell you, that was.
And he gave me the money too, like the next day.
I would do that because I would never want to shut out my buddy.
Well, you would do that.
Bad karma. Yeah.
No,
Bad karma.
that was a classy move. You know what?
I think it had to be done, though. I mean, because our history was.
Let me ask you this: would you have done it?
I was going to say, would you?
Oh,
have
absolutely.
done
In this case, I would have had to. Sure.
You
'Cause,
don't you don't bet for people, but you would have done it. Okay.
Exactly. Do you
I
guys
gotta-
know-
No,
I
no.
gotta-
I mean, if I had used the pool money that if in other words, if I was the guy that he had put up to 200 on the Derby and I was supposed to bet 200 on the Preakness, and then at the last second I decided, hey, I've only bet 100, so why don't I put the other 100 on this horse to win? Of course, I would have included him in the thing,
Generate
even though
honor.
it came after the fact, right?
It's the right
He
thing
didn't
to
make
do.
all of these bets at
Good for
once. Yeah.
It's the right
Otherwise,
thing.
you mess up your karma forever. I mean, you're,
Oh, yeah,
you're
for
likely to
sure.
get hit by a truck like the next
I
day.
haven't gone that far, but
That's what happens to people. like that.
There's no
gotta be
question.
real.
There's no question. You're impacting your karma. None
100%.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
None
All
whatsoever.
right. Well, one place that always has good karma, and not only that, but good
Oh.
food, Tony, is Texas Roadhouse. And
Man,
again,
look at
last
that
night.
transition.
Yeah.
Look at that transition.
Well, again, last night I played tennis with my son. I was suffering from the SGF, which I don't know if you're familiar with that sporting vernacular and terminology. SGF, that is the slight gimp factor. Right? Had a little bit of a gimpy knee. So remember when you had a great first step at everything that you did in sports and how important that was?
Yep.
Like you may not have been the fastest runner. It's not like you were gonna, outrun Skeets Nehemiah or something. But if you had that quick first step, you could steal a base. You could go by somebody in a basketball game. Maybe blow by a guy right at the line of scrimmage, and even though he could outrun you, you're still in the clear. I mean, I was suffering from that last night. And, I couldn't take that first step. So I'm standing there like a stiff. So we go to this place to have drinks after, and they have a steak special. And it's a really good steak special. And they give you what looks like a pretty good steak. I've never tried it, but it looks good for like $15.95. And I'm thinking, that's the special. And then you go to Texas Roadhouse, and that's the menu. I mean, like any time of the day or night. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and the quality of the food is consistent. And again, we talk about what makes you want to go to a restaurant over and over again, right? You've got those special ones, that you do for your bar mitzvah or your confirmation or Holy Communion or anniversary, whatever the case might be. All right. And then you have the ones where the family loves to go, right? We always had one, one of those where the kids could eat anything, right? And then you have, the ones where you feel comfortable doing anything. And that Texas Roadhouse kind of fits the bill in every single space that I just talked about. It can be that special place. It can be every night. It can be with your wife, your husband, your partner, whatever the case might be. You can bring your kids and enjoy the night. Why? Because the food is consistent. Yep. You can bet no matter what Texas Roadhouse you go to, the culture, the way you're treated is going to be remarkably exceptional. You're also going to find a restaurant that sticks to whether we're in COVID or not in COVID, the restaurant is clean. They continue to clean it. They continue to do all the things they need to do. You're going to get the coldest beer in town. You're going to get the best margaritas in town. You're going to get the softest, the warmest, the best bread with the best butter in the world. Right, as Lubie says with his landlubbers in the world, then you're gonna get a.
He's not kidding. He's tried stuff everywhere.
Yeah, you're gonna get a check from Texas Roadhouse where you're gonna go, really? That's it?
What the hell?
All this food? That's
it?
No,
you think you got the wrong check, so now you have to use your own integrity and say, do you alert the waiter that he might have given you
is
the
this
other
right?
table's
And
check?
they're gonna come back and say, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, it is correct, and please, we look forward to having you come back.
Yeah.
And they do that every day for every customer, for every family, for every holiday. They'll all sing happy birthday. They'll all sing happy anniversary. They'll make you feel at home.
Yes.
They'll make you feel like you're Norm going into Cheers, because they basically, whether they've ever seen you before or not, they make you really and truly feel welcome because they want to see people. They want to spend time with you. It is their culture. It's how every single person who worked for Texas Roadhouse, how they were brought up, how they were trained, and how they were taught to treat their family, not customers, family when they come into their restaurant.
You
Texas
should
Roadhouse.
be like in front of like a corporate group
He does.
meeting
That's
of Texas
really what he
Roadhouse
does.
people. You would inspire them to do even greater things that they're, I mean, they're already great, but wow.
This is Deji.
That was tremendous. Tony, I felt like we should have got the anthem going in the background. That was fantastic. It's a great spot. That's why it's, crowded, and they have ways of dodging a crowd. I mean, they really know how to accommodate the customer. And you mentioned this, you you need a place that has that coldest possible beer, just short of frozen. Like,
especially now, especially here in Florida,
yeah,
where
in
it's
the
like
summertime.
105
Yeah,
Oh
wow.
my God.
Nothing worse, they hand you a warm beer and then you ask for some foreign concept like, hey, could I have a chill glass with that?
Yeah.
And they look at you like, what? What do you want? A frozen wine? Hey, you see this guy over here? He's causing a problem, right? Like, no, I mean, at Texas Roadhouse, they just bring it right out perfectly. And I can attest to this because that is one of my daily pleasures is after the walk of life, diving into a cold beer in a chill glass and, just short of frozen. And that's, if you're playing a ball game or whatever, you're playing basketball with the guys, Texas Roadhouse, great place to go after. And, watch games on TV as we've been doing the last several weeks. All right, we'll come back and we'll get into the postseason with Tony Segreto here. See what your thoughts are about a couple of things. We had a couple of local teams involved. It was a lot of fun until Mike Mayo turned out to be right, Tony. And the Lightning did sweep the Florida Panthers, which was, wow. I mean, a weird reversal of form, the likes of which we haven't seen from a local team, I don't know, in a long, long time. We've seen local teams bomb out in big situations. And Dave Hyde was talking about that Fiesta Bowl to Penn State. I mean, where you're looking in stunned disbelief the whole time and going, well, what the hell happened here? Jamie! Get Vinny out of there.
Yeah, I was talking to Mario Cristobal about that the other night, and it's one of those things that still stings.
All right, well, hang in there. We'll talk about that. The postseason, the Miami Heat tonight in their Jekyll and Hyde series with the Celtics. See what Tony has to say about that. He's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest, and we're back with more on the Defo Show here on Ion Channel in a moment. Later on, Grant Long, one of our favorite basketball commentators, coming up. He's always very opinionated. He nailed it, right? Said Heat would win game 1 at home, and the Celtics come back and win game 2. We'll be back with all of that in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:05. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
One thing I noticed, a big disparity. I mean, the Florida State players look waif-like. This is kind of like watching the Oklahoma Sooners football team come in for their tune-up game, their cupcake game on the schedule against Ohio Wesleyan. And you look at the offensive line of Oklahoma, and you wonder how anybody's going to get around them. There is a distinct size differential in the girls on the Oklahoma team versus those on Florida State.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to use football as the analogy. I'm going to say that they all look like Dave Kingman. You know, they're all like 6 feet tall. It's remarkable. There's a couple of girls who are probably 5'5", 5'4", 5'6", but I would say a good.
But they're like 240, yeah.
6 feet tall, and man, and when you look at their numbers, they're gaudy. I mean, 406, 425, 32 home runs, 27 home runs. Even the ninth hitter in the lineup has got like 18 home runs this year.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Welcome back to the show, people. Here on Ion Channel, the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, and the great Tony Segretto's all school with us in this portion of the program every Wednesday, usually 8 to 9. Tony's going to bow out a little early today. Where are you off to? Are you off on one of your adventures around the country?
I'm actually going back to Vermont today. I'm actually headed back to New England today. Yeah.
In the car again?
No. I have a flight. That's why I'm doing
good.
this early. I have a flight, and right after this, I break this studio down and head back. And then next week, I will be coming to you from, God willing, everything goes well, I'll be coming to you from New England.
How about summers in Vermont, man? It sounds romantic,
sounds
doesn't
great.
it? There should be a movie. When they make the movie of your life, it should be called Summers in Vermont, the Tony Segretto story. It's going to be great.
It's pretty cool in the summer, that's for sure.
All right, we're talking about the bigger disappointments in South Florida sports history. We thought that had the Florida Panthers lost that first round series after a sensational, just really an exciting, scintillating regular season. Now, you couldn't help but become a fan and gravitate towards this team with the way they played in the regular season, and then you get in there against Washington Capitals team that was the 8th seed, but wasn't a bad unit. They were missing a couple of guys that might have been critical to them if they were going to have any shot in the series at all. And they managed to win this thing, although it was not overwhelmingly impressive, but they did it. They got off a schneid that's been exaggerated because of the fact that they rarely made the playoffs. So this whole business that they hadn't won a playoff series in like 27 years or whatever it was, sort of was minimized and marginalized by the idea that they'd only been to like 5 playoffs, period.
Exactly.
So, all right. So 4 times they got knocked out in the first round. I mean, it's not like this particular bunch was going to be cursed by that. And yet there were people that thought that might happen, including our own, cynic and sarcastic leader, Mike Mayo, who had
I don't know
personal
if he's
issues.
your leader. I hope he's not if he is your, I love Michael, but he's not your leader.
No, we're trying to inspire that aspect right here on our own, but it's
Just
was
calling you on it there, man. Just calling you on it.
well, job. That's kind of how we stayed in business here all of these years, Tony. And I'm very much glad that you're a part of it, because we don't agree on everybody's approach necessarily. But all right, so Mayo then comes up with just a stroke of genius and says Tampa Bay is going to sweep the Florida Panthers in the next round. Now, he was bitter. He was angry that he lost a bet, but it wasn't a great bet, that one. And yet it hit me like a ton of bricks. It's like, wow. And I feel badly myself that I didn't do this. You probably could have gotten about 10 to 1 or more on the idea that Tampa Bay would sweep the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
But if you were looking at the cracks in the Panthers game, the only thing that would have been discouraging is that the Lightning had to go 7 to beat Toronto. So was there a likelihood that they were going to sweep the Panthers? Probably not. But that's why you're getting the big odds. But both of us whiffed on the bet, and sure enough, it happened. Yeah. And it leaves you with a lot of questions. So they got out of the first round, so it can't be considered the biggest disappointment in South Florida sports history, regular season to playoff accomplishment. But it left you thinking, man, they're not as close as a lot of people thought they were when they were racing off to the President's Cup during the regular season. So where would you make changes if you were going to, Tony Segretto? Do you think the coach looked weak in the postseason? And in hockey, they don't care. You could be, Toe Blake in his prime, coaching the Maple Leafs there, and they would cut you loose, right?
You may disagree with me. I don't think this had anything to do with skill. I don't think this had anything to do with the fact, other than the fact that they just, after that first loss, it almost seemed like the next 3 games they were skating, hoping not to lose.
Not to lose.
It was just a completely. They skated different. They looked different. The energy was different, and even our coach, the coach, was like, he looked
stunned. Yeah, the whole time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like he had been tasered. It was bizarre. Let me tell you what, both of these playoffs have been probably the strangest that I have ever seen in my lifetime, in my career. Okay. The joke, and I'm not dismissing the hockey thing, but the joke in the NBA is always, listen, I don't have to watch until the fourth quarter. That's when everything happens, right? I mean, that's the ongoing joke. I can miss the first half at the very least, and then see what happens. I don't think I've ever seen games like this where the game was basically won in the first quarter with insurmountable leads.
Yeah.
I mean, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I mean, even though Boston, kind of inched back in what was game three, you never really felt that Miami was out of control here, even though the lead was being, cut in half. But man, oh man, when you jump out to a 25-3 lead, when there's 4 minutes left and you've made one bucket, I mean, come on.
That's impossible.
Because after that, not only is it okay, I've got to swim upstream and I've got to cut this deficit down. Not only do you have to do that, but you have to get out of your head that you're down by 25. I mean, it's almost, I mean, trying to tread both of those areas, it's almost, it's
hard to be that bad, actually.
Yeah,
it
it's
really
insurmountable. Yeah, it's
to
insurmountable.
shoot 3 for 20 from the field in a game where, Boston's defense has been touted as being very good and statistically proven to be that, but it isn't that great. I mean, that was the doomsday defense you would have thought the Heat were facing.
Yeah, and you think to yourself, everybody, I'm getting texts from all my friends, and, it's like, it's just... Did they not know that Boston was going to come out with this much energy? Did Boston not know that the Heat was going to come out with this much energy? How do you not do that? How can the teams change so quickly in terms of not just their ability to make buckets? Because we can listen. We all get cold, right? But we've seen baseball teams where the bats have no hits in them whatsoever. There are guys are changing bats. They're doing everything they can, and they're just not hitting. And then we've seen that same team 3 days later, where every guy's 3 for 4, 4 for 5. They're all, they're hitting dingers like it's nothing. But this is crazy.
I heard Pat Riley was considering having a Santeria ceremony before the game tonight, because he does believe, like I do, in matters of the occult, and he's run out of motivational stuff. But all that being said, it's funny because.
You're excited about tonight's game?
No, I'm not so excited.
Happen.
I'm fully anticipating that the Heat will bounce back, win this game sort of handily, and then I'll go back to Boston for Game 6. With them having a chance to close it out.
Yeah, they're home. I mean, you got to believe it's going to be we know it's going to be a packed house. We know the energy is going to be remarkable. You're going to be able to feel it right through your TV screen, and obviously feel it there, and. The sense of urgency. I don't know. It's just like if you're Spoelstra, you say to yourself, you want to get in that locker room. And Grant, I'm sure will weigh into this. When you get into halftime, you're in the playoffs and you're down by 17 or 18 or 20, whatever it is, and you're going like, okay, now what? What can we say that these guys haven't heard?
Yeah.
What can we do?
I think I have the speech tonight.
Yeah, what is it?
What's your speech?
Not a single one of you received consideration. They may have received consideration, but no Heat players on the All NBA first, second, or third team, which you would have thought. I mean, it's not like they have bad guys that you could say, "Oh my God, how did that guy make it?" But Jimmy Butler once again ignored as the top guy from the Heat, and didn't make either of those three teams All NBA. Yeah. So there it is. There's your bulletin board. They think you suck.
They think you suck.
You suck.
Exactly. There you go.
And the Heat love that kind of negative psychology, motivational stuff, which I'm not a big fan of. I really am not.
You bring on any of our friends, you bring on Jimmy Johnson, you bring on any of our friends who are head coaches, they'll tell you, yeah, we'll put it up on the board, and it may, help our focus a little bit during the week. But in reality, once the game starts, they don't think about that. That's it. They just go on and play.
You don't know what's happening until you get hit in the mouth the first time.
They just go out and play, and if they're hot, we're going to give them the ball. If they're not hot, we're going to find out who is hot. If it's clanking off the irons, we got to figure out how to get it in there. I mean, when we're missing breaks and we're missing layups.
Yep.
What?
Oh, it was Brick City, man.
What in the world is going on?
You needed a
So,
Mason card, literally, to be a Heat fan
man,
in
man,
that
oh,
game. I'm
man,
trying to
man,
find
man.
the point spread here for tonight's game. But
Yeah, what is it? Here,
I'm
let me see if I can find
I'm
it.
thumbing here. Okay, here we go. The latest line.
Oh my God! Okay.
Celtics are favored.
Celtics are favored.
By what? How much?
No,
By how much?
yeah,
I
the
know.
Celtics are favored by 1.5.
So
On
when the
the
Heat
road.
blew out and went to Boston, they reverted back to Boston being up by a lot.
Celtics
because
favored. Wow.
When the Celtics won by a lot and it goes to Miami, they give it. Okay. The national
Playmakers,
media,
they know what they're doing here. I mean, they did have the Celtics favored in the series. I would anticipate
They've been
Miami
wrong.
very, very tough at home, as all NBA teams tend to be, but especially so. Miami's been, I think, unbeaten in the playoffs at home. Are they not?
They were
And,
until they lost.
Were,
game two.
yeah.
Remember, they got
Here's the deal.
annihilated.
This is my take.
Oh, yeah. Oh, game 2. That's right. What am I talking about?
Here's my take, and this is like an understatement, but if I'm Boston and I'm thinking to myself, this is it. We win this, we're done. You
You
it's
go up.
It's our series.
Pivotal game 5.
It's our game. Tonight's our game for the Celtics. And if I'm the Heat, it's like, all right, it's just defend. We gotta keep our home turf because we're going back. Yep. And
I think UD gets some minutes tonight. Udonis Haslam.
I'm
going to bet on that. Yeah.
I wonder what the odds are. What do you think the odds are on that?
He gets in there to punch like Tice or one of those guys.
Listen, he was so fired up on
the glass. Yeah.
He was so fired up on the bench the other night. It's like, get his butt in there.
Yeah,
come on,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking they may just roll
43 or not, get him in there.
Yeah. I mean, he's got more gray hair than, I don't know if you remember this character. It's an ancient reference, but you remember the old Ben Casey show, Dr. Zorba?
Oh, yeah.
Sam Jaffe was the actor's name. Yeah. He was a very accomplished actor.
I thought you were going to talk about Wayne Embry. Wayne Embry was.
Wayne Embry, man. Wayne was one of my favorites because I love fat guys in sports. All right, Tony, Catholic Health Services, another fine organization represented here in the program by the great Tony Segreto. And, it's interesting because, you hear people do endorsements and you're thinking, could it really be all that? And then I had the experience of it, and it was a radical turnaround in the care of my mother, which obviously I cared about very deeply. And we went from total futility and frustration to just being so at ease with what was going on. It was remarkable. And wow, I mean, all of that anxiety that you experience as a family member or, a friend or an acquaintance of the person that's being treated goes right out the door. And it makes it almost all of a sudden now you're a collective. You can focus your energy on the person getting better and or dealing with the situation as best as possible. It really is a huge difference, that whole philosophy of Catholic Health Services and their level of expertise.
They are special because my wife, we're going through that with my wife's loved one. She's in Michigan right now, and my wife's loved one is in rehab now, and she goes there yesterday, and she sees that the loved one's not doing well, and the blood pressure was off. No one even checked it. No one checked it. No one called her. No one said anything in the rehab facility. And this is supposed to be like a great rehab facility.
Right. Yeah, you're yelling, nurse, nurse.
Yeah, like, can we fix this? Can you not see this person's not doing it right? And it doesn't happen. Catholic Health Services, my goodness gracious, I just shake my head. Rose and I were talking about it. I go, Catholic Health Service, this would never happen. It just wouldn't happen. They're just not like that. They are so communicative. They check everything. They worry about holistic. We've talked about this in the past, but holistically, they worry about the person, right? We know we have to settle this issue. We know that we're fixing the hip or returning from a stroke, whatever the case might be. We know what the issue, why we're here. This is our why. But within that why, we're going to worry about the rest of the body too. We're going to check your blood pressure. We're going to make sure that your family stays informed. We're going to make sure that your family knows what we are doing to get you better so that when you get home, they can help get you better even as we continue to maybe see you off site and not here at the facility. These people truly care. Everybody, they're a special group of people because everybody they take care of, they consider family. They stay in touch with them. They stay in touch with the whole family, and they do it every day. I'm telling you, folks, this is a quick synopsis. You can go anywhere, get the greatest machines, and you're going to get the same medicine. But Are you going to get the same care? Are you going to get the same professionalism? Are you going to get the same compassion? And are you going to get the same type of attraction to the family and to let them know exactly what's going on each and every day, 2 and 3 times a day? I don't think so.
No, you won't.
But you can get it, though, at Catholic Health Services. We love them. We are proud to have them as not a sponsor, proud to be our family on Old School. And we couldn't be happier to be with a group that is remarkable every day.
Also brilliant when it comes to communication, which is a giant issue in these circumstances. And then they just have better people. They do. I mean,
They do.
These
It's
are really
incredible.
dedicated people that all are
Just
extremely expert at their given field. And when you circulate through the different divisions and the people that you have to deal with, it's not like you're being handed off to some schlep. I mean, the next person comes in that is a specialist in certain areas, and everything is laid out right away. Just absolutely fantastic. All right,
When they're going through rehab, the person doing the rehab isn't on their phone going, "Oh, I gotta do this."
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, 5 more. Do 5 more. No, not like that. Not like that.
You sound like my old personal trainer there, right? Yeah, okay, 5 more. Meanwhile, the guy's counting in bets at the track. Yeah, I went to 2 over to 5, 7, 8. All right, more with Tony Segredo in a few moments, and then we'll also introduce you to Grant Long here on the Defo Show
Thank
on
you, guys.
Ion Channel. All right, stick around for a second here. Tony Segredo continues Old School in a moment. Now that it's 8:23.
Tony Segredo here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't get your question.
You were a coach that you coached all kinds of teams. You had teams that...
Hey, say it in English. Dad, you got it?
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
An aging Bobby Bowden fielding a question from Mike Lubitz and demanding that he starts using English as the preferred language in the interview. Welcome back to the show. A few more minutes here of Old School with Tony Segredo. Tony, help me solve this mystery here.
Okay.
I haven't been able to figure this out. And, I mean, the more you look at it, the more impossible it seems. Now, I have a great affinity, a sporting affinity, for the city of Tampa across the state. I have a very favorable view of Tampa. I did a lot of work over there in 2 of my favorite sports on TV when Sunshine Network was carrying racing, and we did the replay show, and we spent about 8 weeks in Tampa, at Tampa Bay Downs, one year when we got shut out here by Gulfstream Park, one of the local tracks on a television conflict. And so I really enjoyed it. And then I was calling boxing over there for a long time from the Sun Dome on the campus of the University of South Florida, right? Very nice place, and had great boxing cards every month. Schlitz Malt Liquor was the sponsor. So, it was a pleasure to do the intro, right? A dream of mine coming true. So a great affinity for this. But I can't figure out for the life of me how come they are so superior to us when it comes to being a sports
Boy.
city in terms of the management of their teams? Where you've been very optimistic about Mario Cristobal and University of Miami coming back on the college level, but on the pro level, I mean, the Miami Heat obviously would be far superior in terms of their organization to. I guess
Yeah.
they have to adopt the Orlando Magic, Tampa, but it's not really their city. But the other teams
Yeah, the Lightning,
are
the
so
Rays.
well
I mean,
run.
It's not
I mean,
close.
yeah, it's not
it's
even
incredible.
It's not even
We're
close.
bag ladies
Even-
compared to these guys.
Well, even the city, they get all of these amazing events, right? They're getting more and more Super Bowls. They're getting, they're getting championship events. They're getting, all of these. I mean, it's wild to me. I totally
But
agree.
they have
with you.
winning teams. I mean,
I know,
perpetually winning teams.
How is that possible? How does that
annoying.
happen? Right? How does that happen? And I don't understand. Other than we just don't do other than the Heat, we just don't do a good job of getting the right people. I that's all you can say. I mean,
We're so
look
much
at
more
the
sophisticated down
organization.
here. They have
Oh,
a steakhouse
What
and a
makes you
strip
say?
club. That's it.
Why do you think
Makes
that?
you
Why do
sophisticated.
you think we're more sophisticated? What
No, I
makes
mean
you
we have
think
so
that?
many things happening
We
here.
are.
It's a great place to
Maybe
live.
that's the
I love it.
problem. Maybe that's the problem. We have
But
so many
in the
things
sports
happening here.
genre, I mean, here are the Panthers. They do a pratfall. I mean, literally after distinguishing themselves by finally getting out of the first round of the playoffs, they fall on their face against a vastly superior and much tighter run and just perpetually good Tampa Bay Lightning organization.
And people
you look at the
shake
Rays
their-
and the Marlins, same situation, maybe worse in Tampa.
Well,
and
yeah,
they're a better team. Yeah,
I totally
always.
agree. But here's the other thing. If let's say you're not a hockey fan, but you kind of know hockey, right? You're not an everyday fan. And, the Blue Bloods, the Bruins, the Rangers, the Penguins, Edmonton Oilers, the, Montreal Canadiens, the Blue Bloods. That's what you think of when you think of National Hockey League, right? And then people then they tell you, do you know that the Lightning are the defending National Hockey League champions? They've won 2 in a row. They've won 3 in the past 5 years. People go, what? Tampa Bay? They have a hockey team? They're that good? I mean, they have not just won like, okay, we won, we got a championship. They've been consistent, and the Rays have been consistent.
Yes.
Rays are amazing.
It's one thing to win it, and then you kind of fall off. It's another thing, you've caught lightning in the bottle.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to win it and win it again and win it again and always be in the conversation. May not win it and may not get to that final plateau where you're even playing for it, but you're still in the conversation. And they're in the conversation every year. And it boggles my mind.
It's annoying.
I'm glad you brought it up. It
It's
just
amazing.
boggles
No,
my mind.
That organization, I mean, here we are with the Marlins. We know all the excuses, right? We needed a new ballpark with a retractable dome, and we'll be able to spend money, and all of this malarkey. And they sort of seemed to have it going in the right direction, but they weren't making enough money, so they sold off all of their top players because they just couldn't afford to keep all of these guys around. I guess supposedly swimming in a sea of red ink. And meanwhile, Tampa is in a far worse situation. I mean, you go by. I don't know if you've ever been to the Blunder Dome.
Oh yeah,
over there. I have not been in the building, but I drove by it one time when I took a wrong turn. Trying to meet somebody in Clearwater or whatever it was, and I'm looking. I'm like, wow, this area is absolutely desolate. All right. I mean, there was nobody, not a soul on the streets, nobody parked anywhere. Bars and restaurants were like empty, looked like they've been boarded up. And then I look on the right, and I'm right by the stadium. And who's playing there that day? The Red Sox. And there's not a soul there. I mean, And the Red Sox are obviously, a team that would draw a crowd over there because they play on the West Coast in their spring training games in that mini Fenway. And, they're hugely popular here in the state of Florida. So, how did he do it? I mean, they have so much less going for them than the Marlins do, and every year.
I wish I had an answer. I had an answer. But I think it's the easy answer is
ingenuity, I guess.
Well, look at the organization. Look from top to bottom. Look at how they build things. Look at how they build in the Rays case. Look at how they build their minor league. And how they make their moves and how strong their minor league teams are. When it comes to the hockey team. you know, they have a culture and people still roll their eyes, but it's all about that. They have
great players too.
And they have great players. Their goalie is, playing out of his mind. And he seems to rise to the occasion, especially when it comes to the playoffs. They almost seem invincible right now. I mean, they almost seem like they can't be beaten. It's going to be interesting to see how they do in the next round.
Well, the Panthers made them look that way. That's
well,
unfortunate.
Certainly did.
They were life and death to get out of the first series.
We continue to stub our toe. We stub our toe. We stub our toe again. We stub our toe again. Like, we're going to make another change. And every time you make a change, every single time, and Defo, you know this as well as I do, there's not a time you don't make a change where you set the team back. You just set the organization back. With the new team, you're tying a new philosophy. You got a new culture. You got a new boss. The expectations are different. You got to learn new playbooks. You got to learn new this. You got to learn new that. And it sets the team and it sets the organization back. And they say that
Andrew Brunette though was humiliated in these playoffs.
Well, that's the thing. At some point,
I wanted to be a fan of this guy, but I'm looking at an interim coach who. Once the postseason came, I mean, he could not get this team to do anything.
He was over his head.
He looked like, okay, I'm here. What do I do now? That kind of thing. It was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sophisticated enough to get into matchups or anything like that, but it certainly looked like he was getting outfoxed and was clueless to do anything about it. I mean, he doesn't play. But, all of a sudden his team went from being this dynamic, with steamrolling, high-scoring, high-wire act to being very timid and tepid about what they were doing, and many times
adjustments,
blowing opportunities. By being passive.
We could never make adjustments, and we couldn't.
It's great that we're experts, though. It really is.
Oh, well, yeah, but here's the thing. We're not experts, but here's the bottom line.
It doesn't take much to understand it, though. It really doesn't.
We seemed so incompetent on power plays.
Oh, no.
Like 31 or something.
1 for 30.
I mean, come on. This was, and then you get Tampa Bay in a power play. It was like, okay, here's your goal.
They were,
here's another goal. Here's another goal.
3% on the power play. I mean, that's 3%. Usually,
that's more than I thought.
Number, yeah. 3%. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, it's a pleasure. I mean, have a good trip up to Vermont. Now, are you going to be there for the summer? Or are you coming back and forth?
God willing, I'll be back. I'll be back here, back and forth, wherever my business calls me, and we'll make it happen. So,
and how's Joey Kornblit? Are you still traveling?
Joey's doing okay. He's got a little hip issue, and we're going to fix that.
Was it from those one-on-ones with Aziz?
Either that or one-on-ones with me. Now traveling with me can be tiresome.
You figure the shoulder would go on a highlight player, the rotator cuff.
His shoulder was already taken care of. So.
Yeah.
We're monitoring him. He's doing great. He's, God bless Joey. He's a good man. He's a good human being. He's a great guy. He really is. He's something special. I'm very fortunate to have him as a friend for sure.
We were paying tribute to Joey the other day because you have to include him among the all-time South Florida sporting icons and people that didn't get to see this and witness it. I mean, when Miami Highlight was rocking and the people were jumping out of their chairs on every point, a Friday and a Saturday night, the restaurant was crowded, and, Joey was in there against the greatest in the world, this Jewish kid from Plantation. And, he's firing the rock in there and revolutionizing the game. I mean, very few people hold that distinction in any sport. Where they were responsible for a big change overall in the way it was played.
Joey and I talk about those days a lot, right? And we are traveling now with, I don't know if you'll know the name, but we are traveling with the daughter of the great John Pachivas. I don't know if anybody remembers the name.
I don't know. John Pachivas. Sounds like a bookie out of Cleveland. Yeah.
John Pachivas was the real life. I mean, he was a real life Chuck Norris. Okay.
Oh, yeah?
He taught Chuck Norris all the martial arts. He was the quintessential martial arts. He's like the Joey of martial arts. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Joe
Pachivas of March. And Johnny Pachivas' daughter travels with us. And it's neat to kind of get that old band together because we talked to her about her dad and he's still God with us. He's still around, thank God. And about her dad and his days at all the clubs that he would work and, kind of be the guy. and with Joey and Mike. It's just a great group of people who live those Miami days with great fondness and always talk about, Joey and the blue hairs that you refer to. It's
Berto VO5 night was my favorite night there at Dania Highland.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, we got to run. The blue hairs were particularly. They love Joey though, man.
Joey,
we love you. Joey,
All right, guys.
throw the Bologna.
And we'll
Tony,
talk to
you have a great trip up to Vermont, and we'll talk to you again next week. And thanks so much, as always, for being with us, Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services. Grant Long coming up. We'll talk some buckets.
Yes, sir.
With Grant Long. He, of course, an original member of the Miami Heat, 15-year career in the NBA, and now an analyst with the Detroit Pistons broadcast team, which they haven't had a lot to crow about, although, I don't know. Are they one of those young teams that somehow is going to rise up like you see sometimes happen in the NBA? Nah. Doesn't look good, but nonetheless, we'll find out what's going on and what he thinks about this Jekyll and Hyde series that continues tonight between the Heat and the Boston Celtics. Grant Long with us next on the Defo Show here on ION Channel. Back with Grant in a moment. Now that
The time.
thanks for tuning in, people. Really appreciate it. It's 8:38.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
On the local scene, the Heat, of course, making changes. I read a very encouraging article about the Heat's prospects. Not to win the championship so much, but to at least be a very, very big factor in the Eastern Conference, Mike Lubitz. You'll be happy to note that somebody actually agreed with your opinion.
A lot of people said that. They have an interesting team, and like you said, they're the toughest team in the NBA. You wouldn't want to meet this team down an alley.
No, I mean, a team that's going to treat everybody the way Tyson treated Mitch Blood Green if they meet in an alley.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. We haven't been able to connect yet with Grant Long as he's on Michigan time, usually very reliable. But when we do, and if we do, well, we'll be more than pleased to bring Grant Long and his thoughts on this Miami Heat series against the Boston Celtics. And then there was an extension last night as the Dallas Mavericks in the very dark shadows of what happened in Texas yesterday with the elementary school shooting. Did play the basketball game last night, and they did come through. They had some other people that actually made a couple of buckets besides Luka Doncic, and that made a huge differential. 119-109 was the final in that ball game. Golden State going down to the Mavericks, but now hosting Game 5. The Golden State Warriors, who many believe will not only finish off the Dallas Mavericks in short order, but will then turn around and prevail over who comes out of the East. Now, if you're a Miami Heat fan, which Lubie is a diehard Miami Heat fan, you're thinking that is a bunch of garbage. But you do have to like the fact that, a lot of the season, the Golden State Warriors didn't have their whole team assembled. They had Steph Curry injured for a good portion of the tail end of the regular season and even in the first round of the playoffs. And to see him, just putting up points with his usual ridiculous ratios and numbers. And then, I guess, the word is maybe Klay Thompson is not what he was.
He's not totally himself. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if he's himself. Yeah, remember, he missed 2 seasons pretty much. Like,
But
it takes
Poole
time
kind
to
of
do
has
stuff.
compensated for that by
Exactly.
coming out of nowhere to be a spark on offense. And then, the Draymond Green is one of those guys that you like having on the floor.
Yep.
And having him on your side, as crazy, as much of a lunatic as he looks like at times, and as volatile as he might be, and vulnerable to getting thrown out of a ball game and maybe even suspended for another. Still, he's one of those players. He may not be exactly what he was a couple of years ago, but very effective. You need that guy that has the hustling, all-out, all-around floor game. Do you not?
Well, and
Mike
Wiggins has
Lubitz?
become one of the better perimeter defenders in the league, and the Kuminga kid is young, and he went for 17 and 8 last night. Like,
Yeah.
and they're missing Wiseman, who was actually a guy that a lot thought could be a number 1 pick. So they have it now, and they have it going forward. And I think the Eastern Conference is sort of a consolation prize after a year where we talked about this the other day, where the East had 5 or 6 teams going into the playoffs that people thought could really win a title. It feels like the Warriors right now are playing the best ball, and they're playing the best ball by a lot. Like, they're the most consistent.
Was Wiggins a number 1 overall
Yes,
pick?
pick? The Cavs, and LeBron shipped him off
Yeah.
so that they could get Love.
Yeah. All right. Well, it worked out, getting Love. But Wiggins has blossomed this year and become,
Yes.
much more visible and
All around.
much more of an important factor for the Golden State Warriors than he had been, at least in my memory. I don't remember Wiggins being that big of a factor. Guess what? Was he coming on last year? But this year, he certainly was an important presence
all-star.
for the Golden State Warriors. So, that makes you think that they're more than able to make up for what may be a semblance. Klay Thompson being a semblance of his former self, although effective in spots still. Klay Thompson. It's not like
Yes.
you can just completely disregard this guy, and he's capable of getting hot. So that series did get extended by the Mavericks. I like the fact that they had the fight and didn't throw in a towel, and were able to sustain it throughout an entire ball game. They had shots to win in other spots in this series, but managed to lose by rather significant margins in all of the previous 3 games. Even though in one of the games, what was it, game 2, that they led by like 20 points, and then got caught from behind, and unfortunately, once again, I don't know if it was because Luka was dominating the ball or whatever. He doesn't seem to be that type of player, but the other guys couldn't knock down a shot.
Yeah,
and that never helps the equation. Same thing is happening with this Miami Heat series against the Boston Celtics, although it's been a reversal of form through the first 4 games. With each team annihilating the other on 2 occasions, and being vulnerable to stretches of just complete ineptitude during certain stretches. For the Heat, it was pretty much the whole game.
Oh, yeah.
Last time they did close it to within 20. That was a 20-point win. That was misleading, because it was much worse than that.
Yeah,
there was blood dripping off the chin of
he
Eric
didn't play their
Spoelstra.
starters most of the second half. The starters were so bad that we took them out in that period in the third quarter when you usually take out your starters. He's like, yeah, we're not putting them back in.
A lot of injuries impacting this series. Various people in and out of the lineup. When I watched the hideous nature of this injury to Marcus Smart, and the fact that Lowry, after he had already turned his ankle completely over, Lubie, then landed on it, right? As if you were watching a tag team wrestling match. And, obviously incidental and accidental, not intended by Kyle Lowry to be a dirty play. But, you have to think that exacerbated the situation, and that would have been one of the most, lengthy limitations on Marcus Smart, that you could find in that regard. Like an ankle like that can easily take a couple of weeks, when you injure it that badly. Or get it rolled over that badly. So I don't know. He came back out, right, and played this guy.
Yes.
Did that help the situation any?
No, he came back. They made a little run, but the Heat, I don't know. They cut it to 1, and he was a huge part of them cutting it to 1. And then they brought it back up to 8, and they won by 6. And he didn't play last game. I don't know. From night to night, you don't know who's going to play. The Heat have like 5 guys listed as questionable. I think all of them will play except for Hero, who supposedly has not a lower leg, like a higher leg issue, like in his thigh or something. So he may not.
What are they doing? Like hockey designations on injuries now? I mean, why don't they just tell you, man, the guy's got a busted quad?
It's a leg, but I saw something deeper about it that specifically talked about what it was. And it's usually an injury that takes 2 to 3 weeks, but he's going to try and play either tonight or in game 6. But that's the thing is, guys playing or not playing haven't, outside of Robert Williams not playing and Bam decided to be a monster. And then Robert Williams comes back and Bam goes back to being a guy who's scoring 10 or 9. Outside of him, like Smart in and out. Smart didn't play the last game. They played better. So it's just been what team's taking the night off. And I've never seen a series like that. I don't understand it because both these teams are veteran laden. Both these teams have been in the conference finals literally 2 years ago when a lot of these rosters were similar. I don't understand. I don't understand veteran laden clubs just taking nights off. That's why Haslam was pissed because Haslam told him, look, they're going to come out. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be active. We can't just give in. And they shot a lot of stupid ass shots that first, even before the 4-minute mark, like the first 6 minutes, they were settling for a lot of garbage.
They were missing everything, though.
And
I mean, it was ridiculous.
It's like
3 for 20, I think it was in the first quarter of that game, and it was a shocker. I had to actually adjust my television set.
Yeah, it looked weird.
It was like the Outer Limits all of a sudden was on the screen there, or an old episode of the Twilight Zone, and you're looking at 21-4. With about 2 minutes and change to go in the first quarter, and you're thinking, no, that's got to be like 40, and it's one of those deals where, the TV is not picking up the entire picture. But it was 4 points with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. So you can't get rolled out of a ball game in the first quarter, and that's happened. We saw the Celtics fall completely apart in game 1 in the third quarter of that game. The Heat dominated wire to wire in game number 3. And it was the Celtics doing the same thing. So very interesting to see that series going back and forth like that. 1.5 points, Celtics favored on the road after what we've seen. That's a very, very curious development to me, Mike Lubitz, that the Celtics would be favored in this game. As we've seen, the home court, has been evenly divided. But nonetheless, we've also seen a pattern here where it reverses form every other game. And you would think at home, at least a couple of points favoritism for the Miami Heat in this one? Little faith
I don't get that.
The Miami Heat with, the Boston Celtics now looking to have the upper hand in the series, although they still, it's 2 out of 3. And
it's at home.
Miami has the home court advantage where they've been dynamite for the most part.
Yes, they have one loss. I don't know. I don't understand the national media or the lines makers, but like you talked about, I'm hoping that they use it as fodder. They didn't make an all NBA
I'm not
team.
sure how much it would mean to players.
It shouldn't matter.
Unless they were betting on the game. Yeah, then it might matter.
None of this stuff should matter, but again, as we've talked to athletes, it does matter. So I hope they take all of it into account. Like
disrespect, yeah. I mean, you could throw a couple of things on the bulletin board, right? The All NBA team.
Well, no.
Who would you have left off the All NBA team? I mean, DeMar DeRozan was a third string guy on the All NBA team. He would be a similar type player, I guess, to Jimmy Butler.
I mean, he's one-sided.
Yeah.
He had a good 3 quarters of the season, and then the last quarter when Ball got
he
hurt,
was great though for
DeRozan's
most of the
season
year.
sort of
I
fell off,
mean,
but he
DeMar
was
DeRozan was brilliant.
Look, my thing is, something's got to give. Either the Heat don't have an All-NBA guy, and they don't. I mean, Jimmy Butler missed a lot of the year with injuries. A lot of their guys missed a year with injury. Fine. But then if you don't have an All-NBA player and you win the number 1 seed by multiple games, then that means your coach must be a fucking miracle worker. Like, that's my thing is pick. You can't have no All-NBA players and Spo not win coach of the year. Like, pick. Like, one of them has to be true. Like, you can't have both.
I think people acknowledge, though, Spoelstra has certainly garnered and earned all of this respect from people to be one of the top 15 coaches all NBA in history.
Says a lot, yes. But
included in the group. I mean, you have to peel off about a dozen legendary names before you even start to have to consider whether guys belong on the list. And to be one of the 3 that would be included after you lopped off names like Red Auerbach and Phil Jackson. And Pat Riley, and you can, cite dozens of others. Chuck Daly certainly was no slouch as an NBA coach. I mean, and many, many more, right? But, I mean, so he gets his respect. I don't know that, he shouldn't be coach of the year. Yeah, you're right. If he doesn't have anybody that's of that caliber, not even, 15 guys you name off on the All NBA team, and you're starting at best at number 16.
Yes.
Although some of it was positional also. So
get
I
it.
mean,
I
but
get
we
it.
know that guys, you can have shooting guard and forward kind of blend together a little bit
Yes.
in
And the
terms of
center
those
was
kind of
embraced.
all-star considerations. But yeah, I mean, they definitely went with a positional basis, and you couldn't argue with most of the choices. I mean, you really couldn't. Who are you going to leave out? They only Trey Young at the point guard position had an excellent regular season.
yeah,
Well, we don't have anybody in that caliber.
I'm not even mad about.
And he was
the
like
Heat
third
not getting-
team. So
Yeah, I'm not mad about the Heat not getting someone. I just think then what does that say about Spo? And we know, look, again, he was top 15 coach ever. Most people think now that Popovich has sort of moved into that next layer, and we've
is
only.
Popovich coming back? I mean, does he come back for another
I
year?
think he'll come back next year, but I don't think he's come back much longer. They're totally rebuild, and they have no one to rebuild around. So
I think he just digs the job, though. I really
he
do.
loves basketball, but at some point, I mean, they're not winning, and they're barely making the playoffs. Like at some point, and he's in he's got to be late 60s, early 70s.
He's morphed into Donald Sutherland.
For sure.
Yeah, you know also who else in NBA coaching has done a morph job in terms of his physical appearance? Jason Kidd has morphed into Howie Mandel. Do you see that?
I haven't.
Jason Kidd and Howie Mandel are now displaying very similar facial characteristics.
Oh, because he went full beard. Is that what it is?
No, not with the beard. I mean, because Howie Mandel doesn't have the facial hair, but their look to me is similar all of a sudden. In the way that, and even their mannerisms are somewhat similar in the way they talk and kind of the wry smile you get from Jason Kidd, who probably should get a lot of credit for. Is he up for Coach of the Year? I mean,
probably not, but
did a pretty remarkable job there getting Dallas to this point. I mean, nobody would have thought that. And they do have Doncic, so you have to figure they're going to be one of the 90% of teams that make the postseason in the NBA. How hard is it to make the postseason? I mean, more than half the teams are in there.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible. All right, we'll see what happens tonight, Lubie. We'll take our final look at some of our fine sponsors and what they have to offer here, and then come back and wrap up this edition of the Defo Show. Be with you tomorrow, and then we go on hiatus there for a while, although you'll be carrying on the business as usual. I will be sipping wine and eating pasta in Italy.
Yes, sir.
First time overseas, crossing the pond there and going to a European country. It's, approaching 71 years old here. It's about time you got moving, right, Deef? That's what people are thinking. So
never too late.
I'm going the over-under on days Mustang before we have our first four-rounder. Yeah.
I don't
Plane,
know.
you think? Oh, getting to the airport. Yeah, that's sometimes isn't possible. Yeah.
There's no gambling. This is a trip made for a couple to be together. That's what.
Or to be destroyed. I mean, it's the kind of thing that happens on this.
I haven't experienced that, but yes, that probably could happen.
Another tour, sweetheart? No, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. It hasn't really hit me yet that I'm going, and that's happening tomorrow. But we'll be doing a show tomorrow morning, so we'll have a little trivia challenge, hopefully, with Dave Gurgles Gurgley, Hialeah Park behind that. And Lubie and I will carry on. And then, Lubie, you've got the usual suspects to guide your way through the show with. So it'll be a lot of fun. And it'll be like just a little over a week that I'll be gone. Right, Friday, and then the ensuing week. And I don't know if I'm going to make it back on that Monday because I may experience European postscript blues in terms of 6-hour time differential, and all of a sudden you're up all night.
Getting back to home. You'll be fine.
All right, we'll come back in just a moment, wrap things up. Now that. Time. 8:56. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
You can't fake caring. Women can sense this immediately. You don't really care. You didn't really want to do any of this.
We now return to the Defo Show.
You might see the reflection in the Klitschko poster there, but I can't resist watching the French Open, even while we're doing this, because I love, when you're doing morning drive radio, rarely do you have live sporting events. I mean, you get it when there are events taking place in Europe, like what was once known as the British Open, now just the Open, Wimbledon, the French Open. You get these events on live in the morning because of the 6-hour time differential that I'm about to walk into by traveling to Italy. And a lot of upsets early on, right? They have some of the top seeds already out of the tournament in the first round. Very interesting developments, including young Coco Gauff, who is in action right now, Mike Lubitz,
Nice.
and is trying to come back and break serve against a Dutch girl named Van Uytvanck. Van Uytvanck. And Van Uytvanck is trying to hang on here and win the second set, but Goff, has an opportunity to break, and just lost a big rally here, but still has a break point. She won the first set. Coco Gauff, though, been playing some good tennis. Solid. Not winning tournaments, but good tennis. Coco Gauff.
Let's go.
What is she now, 17? Unbelievable.
She's still like insanely young. It's so funny.
Yeah. I mean, she really came on, burst onto the scene. A very popular player, and been in some battles here in the red clay season, so that's been very interesting to be able to follow all throughout the morning. Golf, we have some action coming up this weekend. The Charles Schwab tournament. Charles Schwab. What are your feelings about that? It's in Texas.
No idea.
In the heat there. Scotty Scheffler 10-1, the favorite, 10-1 Justin Thomas is he inspired, coming off a win in where was that? Oklahoma, Tulsa.
Yeah.
Where he won the PGA 12-1, not bad. Jordan Spieth 14-1. He kind of spit the bit in the PGA. How about Will Zalatoris?
Yeah, your Zalatoris might make a move. This might be the move.
Coming off the bitter disappointment, which he handled like a real mensch, of losing that 3-hole aggregate score playoff to Justin Thomas to blow a chance to win a major, where he has been a factor. He is almost Koepka-esque in being a factor. Now, Koepka was winning these tournaments, but seems to have fallen off of his best stuff with injuries or whatever it is that's impeding him. He's not the same as he was. A monster he was developing into. But the Zalatoris, very cool cat, Lubie. He cut off the surfer locks, and now looks like he's conformed to a little bit of PGA type of grooming decorum. He couldn't have been, as I said, any more gracious in defeat. So, I know, maybe at 20-1. What do you think? He bounces back out of that bitter defeat, and ends up, winning this tournament at 20-1. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to pull the string on that.
Do it.
Will Zalatoris to win the Charles Schwab.
Go for it.
I have one day to get the money in. Get Lipschitz on the phone right after the show.
I will.
All right, we have to run. A lot of fun being with you. Our Believe podcast, we're going into the courtroom today on our Believe podcast.
Yeah, the trial that my wife is literally living by, and I'm not dying, but living by each and every day.
It's the trial of the century, man. I mean, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
It's turned into it.
We'll dive into that, and then we'll hear Lubie cry about the inconsistency of the Miami Heat later on in that very same podcast, which is an interesting transition to make. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow, and then it's off to Italy, and Lubie will carry on for a week for me, and appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting the show. Thanks so much, as always. Our thanks to Tony for joining us, the great Tony Segreto. For Mike Lubitz, I'm Jeff Deforrest. Thanks for tuning in to the Defo Show here on ION Channel, and we will see you tomorrow at 7 in the a.m. here on the East Coast and all around the country at whatever time you happen to be tuning in. And you can also just go ahead and Google the Defo Show and catch all of it. Like the whole 6 months worth. Man, that could be a scathing indictment against us. That's for sure. But we will do it again tomorrow at 7 a.m. as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:01.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.